Hello and welcome! Recently I had a video that I previously posted about elemental infusions, and yes, there was some controversy about it. One individual was nearly on the money about how effective it is and how effective it is not, while another individual decided they wanted some evidence on that, so let's go ahead and give them some perspective. So his fire outscaled by heavy. Yes and no, only when you're two-handed the weapon, and that is because of how both a combination of saw caps work as well as the 50% effective bonus when you're two-handing a weapon. If you're one-handing a weapon or if you're power stance a weapon, then yes, fire infusion works very similar to dexterity, and specifically lightning. And we could easily compare lightning to Keen, as we got two bosses back to back, both Morgott and Godfrey, the first Elden Lord. And when doing so, we actually find that lightning is usually more effective, mostly because you got that level for benefits and those level for increased multipliers. Not only that, and typically speaking, you do get a higher AR with a split modifier. As a heads up for this test, Godfrey has a higher slash resistance, meanwhile Morgott has a lower slash resistance in comparison to lightning. Now I am not going to compare Morgott's second phase, as that would not be fair, because that second phase puts water all over the floor, increasing lightning damage even more. Now looking at Godfrey, here's the numbers we got. But what we're finding is a 416 slash and lightning damage combination when using a Keen Bandit's Curve Sword at 416, and with enchantment and jump attack we're getting at 553. A Keen light attack with no enchantment at 395. Lightning with enchantment, no buffs, hits at a 517. Buff and enchantment at a 685. No buff, no enchantment, 442. So in this round, lightning definitely not only dominates, but just absolutely crushes Keen as a whole. And yes, you could use any other infusement or any other method. And yes, you're going to get more damage out of lightning. Now this is not the entire story, because there is a case in which, yes, lightning will do less damage. Both when lightning is heavily resisted by the enemy, like when you look at the Black Knife Kindred, yes, you're actually probably going to be better off doing Keen damage if you don't have that enchantment and you're not having the buffs on. Or when you're fighting any ancient dragon opponent or anything within Farum Azula, outside of Placidusax and Malekith. And the Godskin duo, I guess. Although this right here is a bit of an unfair comparison, so how about we look at the other side? How does this build fare against somebody like Morgott? Well, I'm going to tell you that Keen is not going to be winning this one either, even with that 10% increase in damage. So Morgott is going to be a bit more complicated. A solid rule is that his second phase doesn't count because it gives too much of a bias to that lightning damage. His resistance is lost due to the environment. Now Keen with enchantment does 577, without does 565. Now here's the thing, lightning actually does less damage at 506 without enchantment, and with enchantment it does a decent amount of damage at a solid 563. Now I'm not going to go into the buffs with enchantments, but the buffs without enchantment does a solid 629, which eclipses everything before, showing how strong this elemental scaling is. So why is it working this way, and why are you being told otherwise? Well, first of all, one, it was not always like this. This is a recent occurrence due to the recent patches. Not only that, you also got to look at elemental multipliers. And elemental multipliers are awesome. They're probably the easiest multipliers to get in the game, with the least amount of cost, with the only thing they have to worry about is the reduction in physical resistance due to wearing the Scorpion Talismans. You also have the Crystal Crack tiers, which will have a cost on terms of your Hunter's physique, but trust me, it is worth that additional damage. Not only that, the elemental weapons typically have a much higher AR, and so when you get past that flat resistance, you're going to do even more damage relative to your physical builds. And no, you weren't lied to, it was not always like this. Elemental infusions were buffed in the recent patch, so this was only a recent occurrence. That is why they are powerful as they are now, but they weren't always like this. They used to be not as weak, and they always had their position. They were much better early on, but now just due to the current scaling, they're actually good and viable even up to the late game. Lightning is still technically better than fire for several different reasons, but please don't count any of them out. They are all incredibly good. Just run the game however you want to play it, because that is how you can enjoy the game. Yes, it is probably better to go and run fire against Melania or flame, but they all work pretty well. I'm going to be signing out. Until next time, have an awesome day.